big time problems with that motor, buddy. Hey, just between you and me, the idea is to avoid the other cars. Congratulations! You just set the sport back 30 years with that move. That move will put you in the Hall of Shame. You keep doing stuff like that and we're going to lose our sponsor. Looks like that's it for us today. Now I know why you got canned by your old team. It's over. We can't fix that damage.
Looks like your car is toast. You'll need a tow back to pit lane, press and hold your reset button, and we'll come and get you.
Welcome, race fans, to PitStop TV. As usual, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch tonight. Trey Shuttlesworth and Trey Patton are with me in the booth. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and this is PitStop TV's live coverage of the IORL Grand Prix of Detroit, presented by Ashwood Wealth Management. We join you tonight from the virtual Belle Isle Street Course for round 5 of 12 in the season. On the banks of the Detroit River resides one of the more spectacular street courses in America. This 2.35-mile, 14-turn course takes drivers on, honestly, a hectic journey. Fast straights, tight corners and chutes, and slick pavement challenges drivers to push onto curbs if they dare, slipping between concrete barriers and tire walls. We last joined the International Online Racing League, or IORL, at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Indianapolis 500, won by IndyCar ace Rick Ravon. Tonight, we look to find out who can tame the streets of Detroit after 43 action-packed laps, Trey.
Heck of a challenge for these drivers tonight, and I'd say it's going to be even more difficult for these drivers compared to the season opener.
Absolutely. So basically, you're going to be watching a lot of these, as Andrew mentioned, a lot of these tight corners. You're going to be expecting drivers to be hitting these curbs and then going into these corners. So, if they don't take them correctly, they're going to be hitting the wall or be spinning out.
And this shot, or this set of shots, is going to give you guys a really good idea of exactly what we're talking about here. You can see how tight the track is. Those massive curbs on each corner apex, or almost every corner apex. And that's going to really tempt drivers to go down there and hit a really narrow racing line. But as we go on board here with Matt Chubb, you're going to see if you do that, you could have, a bad time. Because you could nail one of those curbs and completely go off of the racing line, or worse, maybe even send your car in the air. So he's actually headed down the backstretch. We can pull up the track map that we've got tonight for Detroit, and this is right now off into turn 7. You see one car go off in front of him, and now he's going around, and that's another bit of an issue here at Detroit. The very slick racing surface that these guys have to work with, it definitely throws these guys for a bit of a loop.
Especially with the way the Delara IR18 handles on road courses here on the iRacing.com service. It relies on a lot of delicate inputs from drivers. A little bit different from what you might see in real life, but drivers are still going to be constantly on the limit the entire race. Still have to take into account tire degradation when you have a lot of heavy braking zones and a lot of high medium speed corners. It has a mix of everything.
Yeah, just to reiterate what you said there, driver input is really everything when it comes to the IndyCar, especially on a street course like this. For how tight everything is, you want to make sure you don't overdrive a corner or even underdrive it, really, because with how these cars handle, you get on the brake too quick or too late, you're just going to lock up the tires and slide, and that's just from other previous things. That's how pileups cause, and it doesn't take much to damage these cars.
No, it doesn't. These cars are very fragile. We'll go ahead and pull up your current leaderboard as they stand through, almost an hour and a half of somewhere in there, about an hour and a half of practice, I think. Yeah, a long practice session for these guys to try and get used to this street course. That's going to be Eggemeyer going for a slide there in 7. And then this very, very tight complex around 8, 9, 10, really 3 corners stacked on top of each other. They're all very similar corners as well, just left-handers. Then you have 11 right here to get back to that kind of almost continued straight. If you look at the track map, it looks like it would be continued if you were to bypass turn 7. Then through 12, 13, another couple of really tight right-handers. And then that little kink of turn 14, going to finish up the lap as you head down to the main straight. And this place is honestly just a great street course, a great testament of what you can do if you just take some city streets and turn it into a bit of a racetrack with some curves and walls around it. So as these guys get set, I quickly want to poll you guys a little bit and see who you think might have the best shot of winning here.
Can't go wrong with the top 3 here in the series. Top 3 on the leaderboard right now. They reflect the top 3 in the point standings so far through 4 rounds in the IORL Championship. Although Matt Chubb is the one currently leading the point standings over Scottless Rambler. Not by, well, actually, it's by 22 points here in the series, which the series uses a points format, which reflects a 90s kart series points format, I believe. A lot of chances to make up for Rambler or Ward here today if Chubb has any incidents here, because this place is incredibly damaging. Although drivers do have one quick repair, so they're not necessarily out of the race with one mistake.
Yeah, I agree completely. I would say watch for Scott Rambler for sure. The guy is a complete ace when it comes to Indy cars. As you can see here, he is, on top of the leaderboard by about 3/10. So I would expect to be on the watch for him, but definitely don't keep Chubb and Ward out of the picture here.
Yeah, you know what? Matt Chubb had a really good run at Indianapolis for the 500. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick with Matt Chubb then in the number 42. He's not on the racetrack right now, but sitting second on the leaderboard. If I was going to pick somebody just out of what we've got, it would be Matt Chubb. But also going to look further down the list. Chris Walker looks pretty decent. He's sitting fifth. Blake Erickson as well. These are a couple of names I'm actually not too familiar with, but they're looking pretty good right now as you see Erickson come into frame and leave. We'll follow him a little bit as he goes around this place. And I think those are a couple of good stand-ins if you don't want to go with somebody that's in the top 3.
They're not ridiculously far off of the pace of guys like Rambler and Chubb right now, within about a second, and I think that's all you need in a race like this. Especially with the chance to mix it up on pit strategy. I'm expecting probably 2 stops here over the course of 43 laps. So you can definitely make up for a slight lack of pace here if you're pretty smart on pit entry and pit exit.
Yeah, speaking of coming up with pit strategy, I remember back in the Indy 500, Spencer Madden is another guy I wouldn't count out because typically from what I've seen when it comes to pit strategy, he's one that is actually pretty good at calculating that kind of stuff. So, he's a little off pace right now, but I would also keep an eye on him for tonight.
And I completely forgot. I didn't even dawn on me until just now that you guys were both in the Indianapolis 500 here in the IORL. Guys, tell us a bit about how that went for you guys.
It was a pure test of concentration, endurance. Don't necessarily want to say stamina because you're not in an actual car, but it requires pure concentration for 500 miles. The modern IndyCar doesn't tend to. It's not difficult to get around a track, but to get the most out of the car, it takes a lot of skill. So it was nice to get a lot of practice time here in the IndyCar for the Indianapolis 500 a couple weeks ago, but road courses are a whole different beast. Especially street circuits with all of the bumps and slow sections. Takes a lot to defend here from guys that are quicker than you. It's all around. It's a completely different beast from your conventional American road course like Road America, Watkins Glen, Sebring.
Trey just kind of hit the nail on the head with that one exactly. But, it comes down to it that once, you get on a track like Indianapolis and you realize how quick the cars actually are and how fragile they can be and how just any minute movement matters to what you're doing. It's all about concentration, especially when you come to a course like Belle Isle. You have to be on your toes 100% of the time because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and Shuttlesworth, you mentioned top of the show that this isn't the only street course that these guys have had to deal with this season, but it is the second of 2. Long Beach kicking off the race season for the IORL this time around, and they had a couple of yellows. We don't usually see iRacing road course yellows, but we could see one here tonight. I was talking with Zach Buchanan, series admin, a little before the race, and he's expecting this thing to be done by 9 Eastern, which would be helpful because we do actually have a second show tonight. Want to urge everybody watching to head on over, actually stay right here on PitStop TV, be it Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, what have you, to make sure that you can tune in to the Sodak iRacing Sprint Car Series as they take the 305s to Volusia Speedway Park. I lost my train of thought a little bit. I was talking about Long Beach. We're going to get back to Long Beach because that's going to throw these guys... I was talking about yellows. We could have a yellow. Hopefully we don't have too many because it could push us back into that window for the Sodak series, but we could have a couple of yellows really throw these guys for an extra couple of strategy loops, and trying to obviously miss a pile up at a place like Detroit is going to be tough, If you're on the iRacing service and have ever tried to run an official race here, you'll know exactly what kind of issues you're going to run into. Because, well, if you have a lap 1 issue, or if you're a Corvette pace car, you're probably not going to get through the first half of the lap all that well. So we'll have to wait and see exactly how these guys then tackle that bit of a setback, or a possible setback, but definitely a challenge ahead as we get ready to go into our 5-minute qualifying session. We'll see if these guys actually decide to put times down. Some may not. Of course, I think most of the field will, though, as we're actually going to go to Spencer Madden, one of the first cars in the racetrack here, the number 6, getting right at it here for qualifying.
Nope, not even former IndyCar drivers are safe from safety car incidents here at Belle Isle. It just goes to show how difficult of a circuit it is. These guys are going to have 5 minutes, and they've been allotted 4 laps to try to lay down a quick time. I'm with a lap time of about 1:15. I don't think they'll get all 4 laps, but you're definitely going to get a shot at all 3 if you keep it clean here on your out lap.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if any of you caught that, but right at the end, right before the practice session, and Rambler actually set the fastest lap of the session with a 14.9. So I expect him to be high up on the board, just as he was in practice.
Yeah, you know what? He was one of the only drivers running it out all the way to the end of practice, and I think that's why he's so good in these Indy cars, and really most anything he drives. It's because he puts in all that practice time, and that's really important to make sure you can get in as many laps as possible. We're watching him now go through the early section of the course. He's going to come out of turn 6 here in a moment, head down that backstretch, but yeah, that's really, really important to turn all those practice laps, and he went fast right at the end of that session, breaking into the 1:14 range. So as these guys start their qualifying lap, Spencer Madden, I mentioned him at first, he has started his first time lap. We got Blake Erickson past the start-finish line as well. Nicholas Ward should be rolling by soon. Matt Chubb has gone across the start-finish line. They're all starting their first-time laps. We'll see who else gets there soon. I do see a couple of drivers that haven't taken to the racetrack yet. Alan Elwood, Chris Walker, Donnie Staubitz, I think is how you say that. Cole Freilich, none of those guys taken to the racetrack just yet.
Shocking to see Cole Freilich not take to the track here. He did earn the pole position in the Indianapolis 500 a couple of weeks ago. Didn't go quite how he wanted to. He finished in the 26th position, over 100 laps down. And it's really going to make matters worse for him here at Belle Isle if he's going to decide to slot himself in the back half of the pack here. Of course, he still has a couple of minutes here. Sorry, I'm sorry, Troy, but he only has 3 more minutes. We'll see if he goes out to lay down a time or not.
No, you're fine, but that could also be a strategy call here. Just try to maybe start in the back and kind of lay low, and he may be expecting one of those pileups. Maybe a full course yellow, so he can kind of just lay back if he doesn't know the track very well, so he can just kind of get a feel for it, and then maybe wait for a pile up, and then kind of just, as we go through the middle of the race and get a run going, maybe you can try and open up and see what of.
Going on board now with, well, he was your current pole sitter for a moment. It was Blake Erickson, but now Nicholas Ward and Matt Chubb have gone faster. Nicholas Ward taking over the top spot for now. We'll go to his on board here as he rolls out of turn 2 down to 3. This is a long straightaway, the longest on the racetrack, and this is a very hard braking zone to match right up to it. It definitely creates some passing opportunities, also creates some mistake opportunities. Then you head through the tight turn 4 under the Firestone Bridge to the left-hander of turn 5. A lot of tight corners, and, well, Scotland's Rambler, of course, goes a bit faster. Shouldn't have expected anything different out of the driver of the 57 car.
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. He's the defending series champion, first of all, and he's starting off the season excellently. Luck hasn't always gone his way so far this season, despite the fact that he's led the most laps in 3 out of the 4 races so far. He's only picked up 1 win in the series so far. In fact, no one's a multi-time winner in the series through 4 races. Rambler's still the man to beat in the championship, but he has a long way to go to catch up to Chubb here. 13-round championship, and this is a good place to start.
Yeah, most definitely. Considering the fact now his first time lap was actually quicker than his fastest practice lap. So I'd say tonight is going to be a great points day for Scott if he can pull a win out tonight. So that'll definitely help him in the point standing. So as long as he's starting up front and he gets a good start, I don't think he'll be able to be touched tonight.
No, it's going to be tough to do so as We have some more drivers popping into the top runnings or top area of your leaderboard as Rambler's going to come through and complete his lap. He goes even faster, a 1:14.6. So you saw him break into a 1:14.9 at the end of practice, then a 1:14.8 for his first lap of qualifying, now a 1:14.6. I don't get how he does it. That's a full second faster than second place Nicholas Ward, who was a full second faster than third place Matt Chubb. That is insane.
Absolutely phenomenal, but he has to keep it together for 43 laps, and you know, as we've said, he's had a bit of trouble, you know, completely executing a full race here. So yeah, we're gonna have a few, you know, quite a few storylines to tell here, I think, because it's not going to be as simple as, you know, a dull F1 Grand Prix where everyone's, such as like the French Grand Prix last year, where everyone just kind of settled in and it was difficult to overtake. You can make stuff happen at Belle Isle. I was about to say a combination of Long Beach and Long Island. But yeah, I'm excited for 43 laps here. Can't wait to see who comes out on top.
So we'll go ahead and get it ready to roll down your starting grid. Then, starting off on pole, we just saw Scottless Rambler go even faster right at the end of qualifying. He's going to start off from the first position. Nicholas Ward to his outside. Row 2 gives us Matt Chubb and Blake Erickson.
Sorry, okay, I have my grid pulled up now. Spencer Madden's going to be in the 5th position, and then Joey Nuzzo will be on the outside of row 3 in this P6 position. Bruno Canero has been pretty consistently showing up in the series so far. He'll show up in the 7th position. Ernie Ludwig in the 8th position. Trevor Eggmeyer in the 9th position. Alan Elwood will line up in... Oh, excuse me, my grid order has gotten messed up a bit here. Downey Staubitz is the first car to not qualify here, according to my grid order, in the 10th position. And then Bobby Krug, who's also a series veteran, will line up P11, according to my grid lineup. It's a little different than what we have on the graphics, so I'm not sure what is correct. Zach Buchanan is P12 on my screen.
Well, we can roll through those back couple of rows, and that at least shows you the rest of your 16-car grid. And I will say, we're going to see the graphics go away here for a moment, but we will still be here and watching the event. That's just going to go away for a quick moment, but regardless, definitely a stacked starting grid. Again, just Scottless Rambler going a full second faster than Nicholas Ward, and Ward going a full second faster than Matt Chubb is really, really impressive to me.
Very excited to see if these guys can really go up there and contend with the 57. I think that 57, based off of the way this season's been, he's probably going to pull away early, but if we get any safety car yellows here, he's going to be in a position where he could be vulnerable.
Green flag, green flag.
I agree. As the base car pulls off here and Scott gets off to a really good start as we cross the start-finish line heading to turn 1.
They're already off and away to a very strong start, and we are going to go ahead. You can see right now, if I pull the ticker back up, it's in minutes. We're going to fix that. That's why the graphics are going to go away here for a moment. But off down into turn number 3 now. The field getting single filed out as you have to. We have some cars sliding through 3 and one car up and over. This should give us a yellow right here. Yes, it does.
First full court yellow of the day, as the second place car, Nicholas Ward, was the first one to go around, and he absolutely blocked the track there in turn 3, and it just created a couple of different pileups that all mashed together there.
You know, honestly, he just looks like he locked up a little bit and just went right around.
Looked like it. That would be, I believe, from the 45 of Blake Erickson. I'm not sure if he was P3 at the time.
No, I think that was Krug. No? Chubb? Matt Chubb? Yeah, that was Matt Chubb in third. And gives him a boot, sends him around, and it was on from there.
At least half a dozen cars involved, so that's nearly a third of the field, and it could have been a lot worse than that. At least a third of the field, I believe, has damage, but these guys have at least one fast repair. Did see one or two guys tow, and that's unfortunate because they're going to fall probably a lap down.
Yeah, honestly, I'm really not surprised there because they were actually spread out in practice, so they weren't really kind of packed together. So, I mean, as you can see there, all it took was somebody breaking a little earlier than you thought they were and just sent somebody around and then, collected about 5 or 6 cars. very unfortunate. Some of these guys have to use their quick repair already on lap 2, and there's 43 laps here. You know, we got a long way to go, and we're already on our first full course yellow of 43 laps, so we'll probably go green about lap 4.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to lay into any one driver too much, but I will say I think that's just a mistake you can't allow yourself to make on lap 1 of a 43-lap race at a street course like Belle Isle, or any street course, any road course for that matter. But somewhere like here where you're so prone to going through those fast repairs really quickly, we all make mistakes as drivers, but I will say I think that one is just one you can't really allow to happen. Lap 1, turn 3, but hey, nobody's perfect, and these guys will get set back going and do the best they can from here on out. And I'm sure it's going to be a great race, just I think we're going to be a couple of cars light by the end of the event.
Commonplace at a street circuit. We could see that in, you know, the real life IndyCar series, or in the Formula One series, where attrition's going to happen. It's difficult to get around these circuits, even for the best drivers in the world. So even in a pretty high caliber series here like IORL, it's not going to be uncommon to see guys struggle.
Well, as I work to make sure that we have laps on our ticker, you can see the field pacing slowly around Belle Isle, and again, a really cool street course here, and the only one that we have on iRacing right now, but so the iRacing staff has alluded to the possibility of having Long Beach completed sometime soon. No clue when that might be. If you're familiar with iRacing memes, you might, of course, know that there's the ticking clock with hands pointed to different things, and it just says #soon. I think that's about what we can expect for Long Beach. It sounds like iRacing is working on it. We just don't know when it will happen. So we could soon have another street course join Detroit. But for right now, it's just Belle Isle. That said, it looks fantastic. This place it looks great.
Excuse me. Have to get my words together. Art department did a fantastic job on this circuit. I haven't personally gotten the chance to drive around it yet. I just purchased the content a little bit ago, but it looks absolutely fantastic. Nice to see all the licensing done very well. iRacing does an excellent job there, because they do have to work out individual agreements with any signage that you see at the track, and then the track seems to be modeled really well. Bumps seem to be, you know, modeled very well. Absolutely fantastic here, and it'll be awesome to see Long Beach join the circuit as a proper iRacing track. That's going to be pretty impressive, because they have to do a lot of licensing to make that a complete project.
That they do. We're going to take one quick break. We'll be right back to you with continuing coverage of the IORL Detroit Grand Prix. Really just going to do this to facilitate that change, so you see laps on the ticker, not just minutes. So we'll be right back to you here at PitStop TV.
We got big time problems with that motor, buddy. Hey, just between you and me, the idea is to avoid the other cars. Congratulations! You just set the sport back 30 years with that move. That move will put you in the Hall of Shame. You keep doing stuff like that and we're going to lose our sponsor. Looks like that's it for us today. Now I know why you got canned by your old team. It's over. We can't fix that damage.
Your car is toast. You'll need a tow back to pit lane. Press and hold your reset button and we'll come and get you.
Welcome back, race fans, to Detroit. You see laps, which is a good thing. We now know that it's lap 3 of 43, and these guys are going to restart with 40 laps to go. And that's quite a ways in a street course like this. It's going to definitely test these drivers a bit, but not quite like the Indianapolis 500 a week and a half ago that Rick Rayvon won. We don't see Rayvon in the field, unfortunately, but still a really good set of 16 drivers here ready to get back at it, hopefully without a turn 3 wreck. Already green flag racing out of turn 14 down across the stripe, and Scottless Rambler continues to lead.
So Rambler heads through the S's with already an advantage of about 3/4 of a second here. All single file behind him, pretty spread out. Oh, and we see a couple of overtakes around the 7th and 8th position.
As we head into turn 1 here, Rambler's got a big lead there. Doesn't look like we have any cars going around, so that's good as we head into the next turn down a little chute here.
So the field relatively clean through the first couple of corners, and now getting underway, and this is what you want to see, everybody getting into a groove, getting into a rhythm, and trying to get at it, because this could be a really good little race that these guys put on, depending on pit strategy from here to the end. Of course, that pit strategy now going to be a bit changed up with that caution, but you see these guys, we hear a crash somewhere. Rambler!
Rambler's up and over!
Oh, no.
That could be full course yellow here, although he does flip back over.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there, but our leader is flipped.
He's not the only one with severe damage here. Blake Arison also suffered damage coming into the Rotunda. That's 7, 8, 9, and 10, I believe. And he has a lot of right front damage as well. So we're going to take a look here at the replay here, as we do get a full course yellow from race control. Yep, car got a little bit loose, and that's all she wrote. Fortunately for the 57, though, he does have that one faster pair. Let's see if he can get back to pit road.
It's also very fortunate that he was able to get flipped back over so he can drive himself back to pit road so he doesn't have to tow. So that's going to save him a lot of track time to where he doesn't have to actually, potentially go a lap down.
So looking at those couple of replays, just these guys getting on the throttle too hard, and I mean, you just got to control that throttle a little better, really, is what it seems like so far. These guys being a little bit, well, I don't even know how to say it, a little bit overzealous with their throttle inputs, and you see the issues for Blake Erickson. He continues on, thankfully, but man, your race leader, Scottless Rambler, just got on the throttle, got a bit sideways, and wrecked that number 57. He should stay in the field, should stay in the race, but man, you can see how junk that race car is.
Very uncharacteristic in some ways, because most of the time, if it's early in a race, he does a good job of taking care of his equipment, staying clean. Most of the time that he's had trouble so far this season, it's been because of connection issues or, mistakes late in the race on pit strategy. And yeah, just very unlike Rambler, and it's not going to help him in chasing down Matt Chubb in the championship hunt.
So as we can see, Rambler having to steer, let's see, what is that? Probably 60 degrees to the right, thereabouts, to try and keep that car, maybe 45 degrees to the right, to try and keep the car going straight. The last time that I could think of Rambler doing something like this and having this kind of a mess up so early in the race goes to the SRCA IndyCar World Series at Watkins Glen, the first SRCA broadcast we did back in January, where Rambler just spun out of one going up the S's and caused a massive pile-up right at the start of the race, and it was a similar incident where the field just kind of piled in, and we got a rare yellow out of race control. So I think that's about the last time that I can think of Rambler, making that kind of mistake, and both times, unfortunately, out of the lead, and both times on the lap that we went back green flag racing, in this case a restart for Watkins Glen and the SRCA, the start of the race. So definitely unfortunate for Rambler, but what I will say, each time I've seen him make a mistake like this, he comes back and he recovers pretty nicely.
Well, he's proven it, as you said, in multiple different, sanctioning bodies, that the man has raw pace. It doesn't matter. In an open wheel car, he knows what he's doing. Oh, near contact on pit entry, though. No issues getting down to pit road, fortunately enough. He is the only driver here with a road I rating above 2,000, so he's proving even in official racing that he knows how to get around road circuits pretty well. Let's see if he can bounce back.
Yeah, it looks like as we mentioned as Andrew mentioned, that his steering wheel was cocked way out of the way there. Unfortunately, I've been having some microphone issues. That's why I haven't been talking, so my apologies on that. But it looks like he's got that car repaired. It knocked him back to P9 there as he crossed the line. Looks like he's going to fall back to about 10th or 11th here, so he's got a lot of ground to make up. But we still have plenty of time left, as it's only lap 6 of 43. So we got a lot of time, and he's got a lot of ground to make up to get back up to the front.
So as the field paces and gets reset to go back to green flag racing here shortly, the pace car lights are back off. We should be racing once again here pretty soon. Nicholas Ward, your race leader. Bobby Krug in second place, and it's Bruno Canero, who had issues a week and a half ago at Indianapolis. Definitely not the run that he wanted to have. Zach Buchanan in fourth, Trevor Eggemeyer in fifth, Joey Newsel in sixth, and it's Ernie Ludwig, there we go. Warren Keith, Matt Chubb, and Scottless Rambler, your top 10. Drivers a little further back would be Blake Erickson and Spencer Madden. Only 12 cars actually taking the green flag, it looks like, considering I see Cole Freilich 5 laps down, Donnie Staubitz 5 laps down, Chris Walker, Alan Elwood both as well, 5 laps down. It looks like they never took the green flag. So Freilich, Staubitz, Walker, Elwood, you will see them on your ticker. They never took the green. They did not start tonight's race.
Unfortunate to see 4 drivers not step up to take the green flag here, despite the fact that it's been, it hasn't been the cleanest start to the race. We're already on what is the slimmest grid size of the season here in round 5 of the IORL Championship. But we, in the least, we still have 12 cars. A lot of the series' best competitors are still in the race, so we still have, about 38 laps of action. Hopefully, we can finally get some green flag running here. As you said, lights are off on the pace car coming through the slow section here. We're almost back to a restart.
And Nicholas Ward is going to lead us, lead us to the green here with Bobby Krug P2. So I'm expecting a lot of action. I hope they kind of lay back a little bit, because I know these drivers want to get this race underway and try and not have a lot of incidents here. But, I do expect Rambler to be aggressive, to get back up to the front, but he's got to be careful with how aggressive he is, because we do not need to see him hitting the wall as the pace car actually pulls off into pit lane here. Expect to see Ward get on the gas here as he's on the gas now, and we're green.
An early green flag. You see the flagman waving that green flag with all of his energy as they roll through turns 1 and 2. A very tight opening couple of corners. Everything about every street course is tight, but I feel like that's especially just a very tight racing line to get through those first couple of corners and not hit those curbs and not have a problem. The top 3 off and way through turn 3 now pretty cleanly. Everybody else coming through, one car a little bit offline, but everybody else getting through the start of the lap pretty nicely.
All clean so far as we head through 4, 5, and 6 and down the back straightaway for the leaders. Still single file top. Oh, and the closest battle on track right now. We are live, right? Yes. Okay. Okay, so we're caught back up. The closest battle on track right now looks to be for the 5th position. Trevor Eggemeyer is currently defending on Joey Newsel as we head into the slow section.
It looks like Rambler's actually picked up 1 or 2 spots there. He actually did an overtake in the last corner, and he's just catching up through the field as we're on board with the 11 machine of Joey Newsel. Making a run, hits that apex, and he's just gonna crawl up behind the car in front of him, try to get some slipstream, going down the straightaway, try to get that every little bit of speed here as you see him get right up on that wall. He's gonna come down right across the start-finish line as Nick Ward actually takes the fastest lap of the session right now.
And issues again for Scott Rambler. That car is junk. It's been destroyed. We'll get a replay up of what happened to the driver of the 57. Now keep in mind, this is the first time these drivers saw this section of racetrack under green flag conditions. It's not a complete surprise that we saw more issues for some of these guys. We'll see what happens to Rambler here in a moment. He did it to himself, just ran in the fence.
Hate to see it for the 57. We've been talking about him a lot. Just very uncharacteristic day. But he's a series regular. He's definitely going to want to defend that championship, so I'm sure we'll see him at the next round. And back for vengeance.
Yeah, as we see, Scott Rambler has disconnected from the session, so he has retired that machine. as we look back onto our leader, he is still chugging along in that lead. Looks like he's probably got about 1.4 seconds. So he's maintaining a really good pace as we're coming across the line here.
We've got wrecking back here. It's Bobby Krug.
Like he nailed the wall.
Bobby Krug is, Midwest karting competitor, but unfortunate to see he's down on pit road. Not sure if he's used a quick repair or not yet.
I don't think he has, because you go back to the lap 1 incident in turn 3, he just gave the punt to Nicholas Ward. I don't think he caught up any damage. We'll see what happens to him here in a moment. Sideways, and wow, a big jump for him. Could have been a whole lot worse and brought out another full course yellow. Thankfully, it does not, and he's got that faster, but he's off and away. So, like I said, he just gave that a bit of a punt to Ward on lap 1. Didn't get caught up in it. Thankfully, still has that faster pair. So now, as we look through our closer battles, Spencer Madden's not too far back of Warren Keith. This is actually the tail end of the lead group of now just 9 cars. Spencer Madden behind Warren Keith, who's then behind Ernie Ludwig. This could be a battle for 7th place.
Closest battle on track looks to be 7th place. As we were looking at the incident involving Bobby Krug, Matt Chubb, series points leader, did get past Trevor Eggmeyer, I believe. Yes, Trevor Eggmeyer, currently sitting in P6. Matt Chubb will move up to the P5 position on track.
As we look further up in the field, Zach Buchanan was starting to charge on P2, but it looks like he might have actually lost a little bit of time there in the corner. It looks like he's lifting a little bit more, which is not something, abnormal for a street course like this by any means, but you need to make sure, everything's minute, try to save those tires. And so he gets a little bit of run going down the straight there as we go into the next turn.
So Buchanan settling into his 3rd place position for right now. You see the gaps ahead and behind. About 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, and around there to Bruno Canero for 2nd. Matt Chubb, though, almost 6 seconds back of the number 4. So your top 3 has rolled away to about a 6-second, 6-second gap or so. As Chubb is slowing down. He has no damage, but he just lost a lot of time to Buchanan out of the corner. I thought maybe he had an issue. It continues on, though.
In the least, Chubb is up to that P4 position right now, but Nicholas Ward is one of his tightest series competitors. He's leading the way. 11 seconds back from the leader right now for Matt Chubb. We'll see. He did pretty well in qualifying. He did qualify a second off of Nicholas Ward, but he lined up on the grid in the P3 position. As we do take a look at Bobby Krug. Oh, no. Apologies. No, that is Matt Chubb. Yes, okay, thank you. He's doing a jump here, and there's a lot that can still happen here.
Yeah, there's a lot that can happen here still, as we're only on lap 12 of 43. Looks like Joey Newsel still just kind of chilling out in P6, as we're actually on board with the 24 of Warren Keith, looking at the battle for 8th place. He's going down the straight. Looks like he's not going to make up quite enough time there for an overtake. Boy, was I wrong. He actually looked like he made up a lot of speed going up into that entry of the corner there, as we see Spencer Madden closing in behind him in that 6 machine.
Yeah, this 3-way battle could be interesting here soon. Ludwig is currently leading Keith, who's ahead of Spencer Madden. These are the back few positions of your drivers who have not spun and had to come down the pit lane. Bobby Krug is 10th behind these guys for about 18.5 seconds. So these guys pretty close to one another for now. And Spencer Madden actually closed in a bit of time into 7. We could have a bit of a race here at the back end of the field.
These guys showed in qualifying. Well, not Warren Keith, but Spencer Madden. That they
we got a car around. Sorry to interrupt you there, but
Joey Newsel goes around, and that is in turn 11, exiting the slowest section of the circuit. So he's going to get back onto that slower back straightaway, but he's going to come away in P9. Bobby Krug is now going to have someone that's a little bit closer to him. Still quite a bit ways away for that number 51 machine from the 11.
Yeah, that spin definitely brought the battle for now a 6th a lot closer, as they had to check up to miss him. But it looks like Spencer Madden may have gotten the short end of the stick of that, because now it looks like he lost a little bit of time there to Warren Keith, as Keith actually seemed to gain a little bit of time on Ludwig there.
So we're getting closer to 30 laps to go, and the time is starting to wind down, but still a lot of racing left at a place like Detroit Belle Isle, where, again, things are so tight, those concrete walls very close, and those tire barriers even closer, it feels like. So these guys settling into kind of this mid-race groove, and that's exactly what we need after we saw those two full course yellows to start the event off. Couldn't complete a lap. But since then, since that restart, well, we had a couple of issues have their, or sorry, a couple of cars have their own issues. This field has done a great job of adapting to this race course and getting into this green flag mentality, and we'll have to see how things pan out. That said, oh, Matt Chubb has spun around and is going to have to try and get that car righted. And there he goes, gets it spun around. The Lincoln Welders machine going to continue on without too much issue, but now that's a four-way battle. That is out of turn 13, now down through 14. And he's playing right into that sixth-place three-way battle that we were talking about a little while ago. So Chubb falls from 4th down to 7th with Spencer Madden in 8th all over his gearbox.
That 42 machine is going to drop from a podium position here all the way back down to the 7th position, and now he has some pretty quick competition behind him in that number 6 machine and the number 11 of Joey Nuzzo, who isn't all that far back. He's only about 6 seconds back from the 6th of Spencer Madden here. We keep hitting this point home, but there's still a lot of time left, and there's going to probably be a lot of more mistakes. So the 6 just has, or the 42 rather, just has to do his best to not be the one to make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, especially for that battle going on in front. I expect Chubb to be a lot more aggressive, just trying to get back up to where he was. So mistakes are made as we have a car that actually overruns the corner. As Chubb actually makes up 2 positions there. I'm not quite sure who that was.
Warren Keith in the 24 just completely locked up and missed turn 7. Loses that, let's see, 5th place spot to Matt Chubb. We've actually had an issue here with Ernie Ludwig. I didn't even see that happen, but he's lost tons of spots. He's down in the 9th. I'm not even sure what happened to him. I think he pitted. No, he pitted over 8 laps ago or somewhere around there. I'm not sure at all what happened to Ludwig.
If we'd have to guess, though, it's not hard to have a mistake here at Belle Isle, so he might have had an incident here. A lot of places do make mistakes. Very common thing here at street circuits, especially at Belle Isle. It's something that, more than most circuits, drivers do struggle to get clean laps around here, even compared to other IndyCar street circuits, such as St. Petersburg. Of course, St. Petersburg isn't on the iRacing service, but even compared to Long Beach, very difficult to get around Belle Isle, despite the fact that the tracks do share a lot in common.
Yeah, I was actually trying to look back and see what happened to Ernie, but I'm not really finding anything, as we are still watching the battle of Spencer Madden and Warren Keith. Doesn't really look like much is going on here, as they're pretty much spaced out evenly. But as we look, Spencer Madden is trying to get the overtake on Warren Keith, but not much is really going on right now.
Yeah, the action kind of ticking down a bit, but Joey Nuzzo in the same shot now as Spencer Madden and Warren Keith, so he's going to start reeling those two in. Spencer Madden will be the first car that he catches if he can get there. Nuzzo setting a pretty good pace right now, and he's catching those guys by about 1.5 seconds a lap around there. Well, no, now it narrows down. Still, almost 1 second a lap for Nuzzo catching these two, so he's going to make up some spots soon, I would imagine, or at least make a battle out of it as Matt Chubb starts to drive away. Trevor Eggemeyer sits in 4th. He is 21 seconds back of Zach Buchanan, and that is a serious gap. When you're talking about any race track, but especially here at Belle Isle.
Yeah, that podium is really establishing themselves as the drivers to beat out here. And these are guys that have a lot of experience in real life. Bruno Canero is a open wheel driver in real life. He's a 2016 China F4 champion. And then we also have Zach Buchanan, who does also, like Bobby Krug, a lot of karting out in the Midwest. So yeah, something shared in common here, and that's these guys do enjoy driving in real life and get the opportunity to get out there and get a real world experience.
Yeah, we were talking about Joey Nuzzo, a few laps ago. He's actually hit the wall twice, and he's actually missing the entire left front of his wing. So very unfortunate for him, as he looked like he was starting to make it up through the field a little bit, starting to get a run going, and he just plowed the wall twice. And It's very unfortunate for him as he was starting to make his way back up through the field. He has entered pit road now. I believe he still has a quick repair left, so he might be able to use that and, you know, hope we have a full course yellow so he can get back on track here.
I think he hit it 3 times because the wing was already damaged, I think, leading to the issues where he plowed the wall twice out of turns 6 and 7. So big issues for Newsel, who was looking so quick like he might catch Spencer Madden. Now he's behind Bobby Krug, Ernie Ludwig. He's out of the race car. I'm not so sure about that 11 car now, but Nicholas Ward continues to go faster, not setting a Scottless Rambler kind of pace, but still a 1:15.3, nothing to scoff at.
No, especially compared to the rest of the podium. We look at the last lap for Bruno Canero and Zach Buchanan. They're about a second off of the 97. So he's going to continue to do what he needs to do to go out there and get a victory in complete style here.
Yeah, especially for the the rest of the top 3, even the top 5 even. They might not be quick, but, as long as they're being consistent, it'll be a good point. So Zach Buchanan actually just spins around and just nails the wall.
Oh, he gets it again.
Back around and hits it again. Very unfortunate.
This is going to block the track. We're going to have the 4th place car of Eggemeyer coming through soon. And he finally gets it rolling before Eggemeyer comes by. That could have been bad if he hadn't got it turned around. Pulls in Austin Powers, gets it pointed back in the right direction. We'll see what happens to him.
A lot more room to maneuver than Austin Powers, of course, but it did take a little bit for that number 3 machine in Penske Racing colors to get back around. For the number 4 machine, of Zach Buchanan, he has already pitted once, which makes me think that perhaps he's already used his fast repair. So he could have terminal damage here. It's hard to tell if there's suspension damage on that number 4 machine. He still seems to be going at a pretty decent pace. Still in the 3rd position, so we'll see if he tries to hang on to that, despite the fact that he doesn't have a left front wing and he doesn't have a part of his nose covered.
He does not have any part of that at all. It looks like he might have actually hit the wall there again. Not sure. As he enters pit lane here, we will see if he has a quick repair. I'm not sure if he used it the last time he pit, but speaking of pitting, when do we expect to see these cars come down for a green flag stop, or will we see them come down for a green flag stop?
We should see at least one green flag stop. We're going to see what happens here for Zach Buchanan. He goes up on the pneumatic jacks, and I don't see that car repairing. So definitely a tough break for him. He does replace the front wing. That might have actually been a fast repair because he has other pieces that I didn't think would get replaced. That might have been a fast repair there.
Have to take a closer look at the top of that nose cone, the area above the nose cone rather, but I think it looks completely clean, so that number 4 might not be completely out of the race, although he might be in a scenario where he might be short a little bit of fuel and he might have to go in an additional stop from here compared to the rest of the field.
Eggemeyer just came out of the pit lane, and I'm not sure what happened. We'll try and get a replay. I'm not sure if this is a pit. No, he has damage. Eggemeyer, we were talking about him possibly coming through and coming up to the wrecked number 4 Buchanan. Well, he's had an issue here, Trey Patton, and I'm not sure exactly what happened. We're going to find out here momentarily.
Yeah, it looks like he just came out of that corner and was just carrying too much speed and just nailed the outside wall there and just tore up the right front of that race car.
Yeah, that's definitely not what you want to see for the driver of the number 8 Fitzgerald Glider Kits Chevrolet. But he'll go ahead and get back into a bit of a groove here. He had that fast repair in his pocket, so he continues on, and he's going to keep at it here now through turn 7. And right back to where he was when he hit the wall previously. Ironically, the number 8 hit the wall out of turn number 8, but he gets through that time, and we'll get back at it. Nicholas Ward still your leader by now, 11.5 seconds over Carnero, and that gap is just continuing to widen as we're nearing halfway through the event. The laps just starting to click off one by one.
While we were following the battle or rather the incident with Eggemeyer, I believe the leader and Canero both came out to pit road. They're both registered with one pit stop now on timing and scoring.
Yeah, the little incident with Matt Chubb, I believe, he's actually back up into 3rd place now. I could be wrong. I think he had an incident going on earlier in the race, if my memory serves me correctly. But he's actually up in 3rd place now, as Bruno is still chilling in P2. But Nick Ward he's still got what's it look like, about a 11-second lead on Bruno. So he's got a very, very good gap and 14 seconds back to Matt Chubb. So I'd say the race is going his way so far. You know, he can just hope for it to stay green. So as far as we've seen now, as long as we keep having single car incidents that don't block the track, this might be his race.
Yeah, Carnero sitting about, well, he's actually narrowed the gap a bit over Nicholas Ward, or to Nicholas Ward, rather. He's made up about a second and a half, almost 2 seconds now while I've been talking. So he's definitely catching Ward by a bit. The stop for Ward, 1.2 seconds faster. I wonder what that difference is, and I wonder why he's losing time right now. But still a large gap back to the number 20 car. Matt Chubb, 4.5 seconds back of Carnero. And Spencer Madden actually currently sits in 4th. So Spencer Madden hasn't pitted recently, whereas Buchanan and Keith and Eggemeyer, they all have. But he is now ahead of, Bobby Krug. And, a 3-wide battle down the straightaway out of turn 2 to turn 3. This can't end well.
Well, we're going to get single file as we enter into 3. So everything gets sorted out there for the most part for now. But Bobby Krug is not going to come out on top. He has a little bit of left front wing damage there. So that could be why he's starting to fall off of the pace of Warren Keith and Trevor Eggemeyer here. Eggemeyer coming out on top of the 24 and 51 right now. He has most recently pitted about 2 laps ago. Krug's been about 11 laps since he has stopped. Keith on the same strategy as the number 8 of Eggemeyer right now.
As we look at Warren Keith, he looked like he might have looped it and overran the corner. Around.
Looking to see where Eggemeyer is, and he gets that car righted. Bit of a burnout show there between turns 8 and 9. We'll see what happens to the driver of the number 8. You're going to see Krug. Krug misses turn 7 here in just a moment. The couple of S's there down the back stretch, and then Krug's going to go straight. He doesn't spin or anything, just goes straight, and misses the corner. But then Eggemeyer has this issue out of turn 8 again. So the number 8 having issues in turn 8. He's going to go around the opposite of what he did earlier. Some wing damage. I think he saved the right rear from actually hitting the wall hard enough to damage it. I think he's going to be okay there. Gets that car righted and continues on. And you can see that wing damage for the driver of the number 8. Front wing damage going to be the talk of the town. And, whoever makes these front wings, Delara, I shouldn't even ask that question. Delara is going to have a whole lot of new orders for front wings after this one.
Good thing this is a virtual event, because Delara would have, these teams would have quite an expensive bill to pay to Delara out of Italy. But yeah, as long as that number 8 machine doesn't have his toe knocked out, so what we mean by that is as long as that steering wheel is still pretty centered on the straightaway, he shouldn't have too much of an issue keeping the car pretty under control. He is going to suffer a little bit of downforce losses. Matt Chubb is in after what would have been a strategy of about a 20-lap long stint, I believe.
Yeah, we'll see what this plays out for him, staying out a little longer than the leaders. Maybe it'll play out in his favor if they don't have to stop again. But, we look back further on, there was a battle for 6th and 7th, but, after that incident with the Eggemeyer spinning around, Warren Keith is just out by himself. Just looks like he's just hot lapping.
Eggemeyer did get into the wall outside of turn 14. He has left front damage, and he's on pit road.
So more issues for the driver of the number 8 out of Illinois. And Eggemeyer just not having a great day. I would put that right up there with, we've had several guys not have great days. Scott Litz-Rambler, though, I think the worst of them all. We'll try and get a replay of what happens to Eggemeyer. You see him there popping up onto a wheelie, the side wheelie, rather. We'll see what happens. Again, he's nailing that curb, and we'll even go on board with this one.
So, my correction there, he's actually entering into turn 12. He does miss the apex by quite a bit. He was carrying quite a bit of speed on corner entry. Unfortunately, that could be critical suspension damage for that number 8 machine, and that could be all she wrote here at the virtual Belle Isle circuit. He is coming out pit road, though.
After that spin by Zach Buchanan earlier, looks like he's made his way up to the 4th position. But I think he's only in 4th because of when Matt Chubb pit. So as you can see there, he's got a pretty decent gap to Matt Chubb. So I think Buchanan might be able to solidify that 4th position to himself. unless he can get up to Spencer Madden, or if Spencer has problems, as he actually gets a little loose coming out of the corner.
Well, keep in mind, Madden still has to pit. He's on a 22-lap stint here, so Madden will still have to come down the pit lane, and that will put Madden behind Buchanan, if not as well Matt Chubb. So we'll have to watch that number 6 for when he decides to come down the pit lane. And I think he's rolling up to it here in a moment. We'll see if he pits this time around. It's now 20 laps to go. I wonder if these guys were trying to recenter themselves on a one-stop strategy for this race, and that's why we saw Matt Chubb come in pretty much at halfway, as we are now down to 20 and we'll soon be at 19 laps to go, which makes me wonder why some of those drivers came in earlier. Nicholas Ward, Bruno Canero, a couple of those guys who would have had a little extra fuel from those pit stops. It didn't seem like it's been a fuel-related, strategy so far. I think just tires, and I think you can probably go from what these guys are doing, maybe about 30 laps on fuel. You don't have to really worry about it. It's just a matter of when you want to take that set of tires.
So you do have a pretty solid point there, Andrew, because looking at some of the speeds, we are a decent bit off of what our optimum times are for guys up front. Nicholas Ward's last lap time was about 2 seconds off of his best time. He's only 5 laps into this run, and Bruno Canero is about 1 second off of his time, about 6 laps into his run. Although Spencer Madden in the 3rd position, we've talked about the fact that he hasn't pitted for a while yet, 23 laps in fact. It's been those 23 laps, but he's only a second off of his best time. So the fall off is not considerably extreme, which makes me question why these guys would short pit here if it's going to put them in a scenario where they have to pit in an additional time.
Yeah, I wonder if as Spencer Madden actually comes into pit road now, so we'll actually see how many spots he loses there. But what I was getting to is, that first initial caution on the start was, do you think they may have salvaged some fuel to where they wouldn't have to put as much fuel into the race car so they could actually stay out longer, stint, or make one less stop than what they had to?
Yeah, a lot of question marks right now on the strategy. I think if you're Nicholas Ward, Bruno Canero, you have to pace yourselves a little bit because you can't risk having to come in that extra time. You're going to lose a lot of time, if not some valuable points-paying positions to the rest of the drivers behind you. Now, they have enough of a gap that they might be able to afford to do it, and that might be some of the thinking behind it, considering it's a 38-second gap from Canero to Buchanan right now. So, I mean, Nicholas Ward, Bruno Canero, they're off and away. They can probably afford to take that extra stop if they have to. But then you wonder, guys like Zach Buchanan, who pitted on the exact same lap, what's he going to do? Is he going to have to come in that extra time? Warren Keith in that same boat. Eggemeyer, Madden, they look to be the best off out of anyone in the field. They pitted the latest out of anyone in the field. Matt Chubb only a lap earlier than Eggemeyer. So, Bobby Krug as well. He just pitted. In fact, he's in the pit lane right now.
So Krug does come down pit road. Let's see if they repair that front wing, or in fact, if they replace that Dallara front wing on the number 42 machine. But it is worth noting that, so we want to say that Spencer Madden did pit there after about a 24-lap stint. We're at 18 laps to go. The top 3 all pitted about 7 or 8 laps ago, so they're right on the cusp of what would be one stop to the end here.
As we're actually on board with Matt Chubb here for the battle for 3rd place. So he looks like he's got a lot more speed than Buchanan. So expect the pass to be made within the next couple set of corners. As he gets a really good run here, expect down the next set of straights going through the corners. He's going to pick up a lot of speed. I'm choking on my own words here, but I do expect Chubb to get by Buchanan for the 3rd position.
Now 17 and a half laps to go for these two drivers, and they've neared each other. And this could be a pretty good battle for 3rd place. About the only battle for position that I see. The next closest would be Bobby Krug over Trevor Eggemeyer, but that's separated by almost 2 seconds right now. So really, this is the battle that we've got to watch. Is Chubb sideways out of 8, buzzes those rear tires a bit, loses some time, but makes that up actually through 10 and into 11. That was a really good run, and sideways again out of 11. But Matt Chubb definitely on the attack. And something we don't usually talk about, we haven't really had a reason to talk about it yet, is to push the pass. The push to pass option these drivers have. Nicholas Ward has only used it once, and I think he actually used it. I was watching the numbers. He used it when he was on his own, well ahead of Bruno Caneros. Maybe he just made a mistake and wanted to power up out of the corner. But Matt Chubb, Spencer Madden, they both have 9. Zach Buchanan has 10. Bruno Canero only has 5. So in this battle specifically that we're watching with Buchanan and Chubb has one less push to pass that could play into favor of Zach Buchanan. Depends on how these guys use it and what lies ahead for these two drivers.
Yep. To talk a little bit more about push to pass here in the IORL IndyCar Series. In real life IndyCar Series, the drivers get a X amount of seconds where they're allotted to be able to use push to pass, which is where you get additional horsepower. So the current IndyCars and iRacing have it set up a little bit differently. It's set up how it used to be in the early 2010s for the IndyCar Series, where you get X amount of times where you can push the button, and then you get it for X amount of seconds. I believe it's about 15 seconds. So it's a little less strategic in the way that you'd see hybrid power used in like LMP1s in endurance racing, where you do press down a button to get your hybrid power. It's not quite like that, where it's more so like that in real life.
It's a bit more like a DRS zone then.
Exactly.
Like there was an incident with Warren Keith. He looped it. Looks like I'm actually on replay, so I wasn't live, but he did loop it around a little bit, got the car back going, so there's really nothing to worry about there.
Chubb has closed the gap on Buchanan. He's about a car length off of the back as we head down the back straightaway.
Yeah, these guys all over one another, or rather Chubb all over the gear. Oh, and Buchanan goes around. He's going to lose that spot. Does he make it a fight? It's the same spot that Buchanan spun around earlier. He's going to clip the wall as he gets it righted. There goes Krug and Eggemeyer by. They're both a lap down, though, so that's not for position, as Eggemeyer was almost all over the right rear of Buchanan. We'll get a replay up as far as exactly what happened to Buchanan. We'll even go on board with him here. The same place, the same way, it looks like, just goes for a bit of a spin. And just, there goes that third place battle. Well, actually, no. Completely different way. He was sideways going into the corner.
Yeah, it's a little bit uncommon for you to see that happen here on iRacing with the IndyCars, because most of the time where you get loose is when you try to get back into the throttle off of the exit of the corner, but it looked like Buchanan was loose on entry there. So he must have been carrying too much speed there, and he pitched the car a little bit too much, and that's all she wrote for the number 4. It's going to be tough to get back up to that podium spot here. He's on tires that are about 4 laps older than that of Chubb's here. And Chubb has been doing quite a consistent job here. He started in the 3rd position. Buchanan started P12. So
yeah, you want to talk...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Trey. I'm good.
You want to talk about him like pitching it into the corner a little much. I've actually been following Zach on track for about the last 10 laps. As you saw a little bit there going into 1, he caught a little bit of the grass. And, you know, some of these apexes, I feel like he's sending it a little too far in there. So he's actually getting up on the pavement, getting into the grass. So he's actually getting some of that, you know, the garbage, per se, on the tires, which is actually going to make him a little more loose. So he has to try and get all that stuff off the tires. And I feel like he's been used to doing that by himself with no one around. And I feel like now that he's trying to protect, or that he was trying to protect position, that it was just really kind of screwing him up to where he had to take the corner differently. And then when he was trying to actually get back into a rhythm, that might have actually done it. I think he actually just tapped the wall there where he's been spinning out, but I don't think it was enough to really do anything there.
So there's a reason. Was he sideways out of 13? There was a reason I went to that camera pack that I was on, and that was to show him getting so close to those curbs. He popped it in 7, but actually stayed off of the curbs through most of the rest of the lap. So I think he must be listening in or something, because he started getting off of those curbs a bit and taking a wider line through those apexes. But he definitely looked a little bit sketchy, a little bit skaty through that back half of that last lap. And Zach Buchanan suddenly looking like he's headed in the wrong direction. The Hitachi number 4 just isn't quite gripping to the racetrack the way it should. It's sideways into the same exact corner. I wonder where he has his brake bias, because that could be affecting the car as well.
No, if he has it, if he does not have enough front brake, excuse me, getting a little bit jumbled up there, but yeah, if he doesn't have enough front brake bias, the car is definitely going to be a lot more unstable on entry than it has to be.
As we see there, he's actually breaking into the corner almost broke loose on him there. Just, even looks like when he's getting onto the gas, the car is fumbling up on him, so he has to do a little bit of wheel work just to even keep it from snapping. So I'd say brake bias could be an issue for that Ford machine. You know, I feel like it's something he could get it figured out, but you know, then again, it could be just one of those issues of he might not know what's going on or how the car is actually set up. Or it could just be from where he's gotten into the wall a few times. Maybe his tires are knocked in a little more, or you know, I mean, there's a million things that could play into a factor like that.
Yeah, going on board with him here, and he's starting to settle out a little bit, but definitely still looking a bit sketchy. Nails the curb in 3. I will mention, as we stay on board with Buchanan, that Carnero has lost about 9 seconds while we've been talking about Buchanan to Nicholas Ward. So that battle for the win looking like it's blown to pieces. More seconds than laps to go for Carnero to make up. And I'm just not so sure that unless we have a massive mistake, a complete wreck out of this event almost for Nicholas Ward, that you're going to see those two anywhere near each other or switch positions. I don't think that one's going to happen. So back to Buchanan, though. He's calmed down a little bit. His footwork and his handwork have seemed to settle out. Definitely a better line through 9 and 10. And out of 11, looking all right. A little bit slow, I think, to get back to the throttle, but sometimes that's better than buzzing the tires a little bit too much and going for a ride.
Very, very importantly, he had the opportunity to cool down the very hot temperatures in those tires. So when you do spin around like that, especially in these IndyCar machines, the tires, when they overheat like that, it's just so extreme, your lack of grip. It makes it really hard to stay on the limit, which is what you're normally trying to do in these cars, because they generally do reward when you're pretty close to the lip of the limit of grip.
Looking back at the battle for 7th right here, Warren Keith, Bobby Krug, both a lap down, and they're just a little ways ahead of that number 4 that we were just talking about, Zach Buchanan. These two could have a really good battle for position before things are said and done. And I mean, Krug is all over the back end of Keith, is now off into turn 7 in the braking zone. He has to try and figure out if he can or can't go for the pass. Can't do it there. Now through 8, 9, and 10, this is not a passing opportunity at all. Maybe into 12, but even that's a bit tight. Passing opportunities not very plentiful at a place like Detroit.
You really only have a couple of opportunities here because there aren't.
I will say, I'm sorry to cut you off. Carnero is suddenly only a second ahead of Chubb, or a couple of seconds.
I'm looking at my graphic, and I'm seeing a 48-second gap between the 97 and the 20 right now.
No, he's only a couple seconds ahead of Matt Chubb, who actually is coming down the pit lane. So Chubb was only a second back of Carnero, and then Chubb had to come back in for fuel. I guess I can't imagine he'd be coming back in just for tires, so that must be a fuel stop. Although he's missing the left side of his wing, so it could be something else.
Yeah, Chubb did not have that damage a bit earlier, so we're going to take a look at the replay here and see where he got that damage.
He nailed the wall.
As he enters, that would be what, turn 7, I believe,
7,
right?
Yep.
Back Buchanan around.
But he continues to have struggles here. But no, this section, so 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, it is the slowest part of the circuit for the most part. Turn 3 is a very heavy braking zone, but this part of the circuit is very consistently on throttle, little bit of braking, pitch the car 30, 45 degrees with the wheel to the left or right until you get out of that section. And that's where we're seeing a lot of mistakes, where you have to have a lot of very minute movements with the throttle brake. And there we see the incident with the number 4, Zach Buchanan, exiting that slow section in turn 11, going over the curb and into the grass of it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to mention. That was actually before he turned it around. He just, we were talking about he's cutting it close on these curbs. He actually just, as you saw, just jumped it. It just looked like he was in the Dukes of Hazzard right there. And then further on, later in the lap, it looks like he just looped it around, unless he actually did that again. But I was actually cycling through, looking at the battle you guys were talking about. Actually, yeah, it looks like there he actually jumped the curb again. I thought we were looking at a replay. He's actually in pit road right now. I don't think he has any more things to get fixed, so they might get a new wing on that car to get him back out. But other than that, I think he's just coming in for tires, some little bit of optional repair to get back out there, as he's actually been put a lap down. So we have 3 cars in the lead lap.
Yeah, this race has definitely distanced itself, if you will, as Nicholas Ward has 50 seconds back to Bruno Canero. And it's important to note that Nicholas Ward has not pitted a second time. He only pitted that one time, about 16 laps ago for tires and fuel, and has not pitted since, which is why he has such a vast margin over the number 20. That said, it's still going to be a pretty large gap even after he does pit. We'll have to watch numbers and see how it works out. Pit strategy then has launched Spencer Madden back into third position. He might be good to the end. He pitted only 9 laps ago, 7 laps later than Nicholas Ward, who is on the racetrack for the longest stint now out of any driver on the racetrack. Warren Keith and Bobby Kruger right there with Madden at 9, now 10 laps on the racetrack. So Nicholas Ward will have to wait and see what he does.
So to talk quickly about Nicholas Ward, he could actually stop like 2 more times here and still have an advantage over Canero. So that just gives you an idea of how much of a gap he's been able to pull in the pack here, very simply by being quick and consistent. And that's all you need here at Belle Isle. And then to talk about, we were talking about Madden, right? So he only has to go about 18 laps, which is a lot shorter than what we figured out is the longest stint that you can go, which is probably about 22, 23 laps here.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to iterate on the start, is that I knew Spencer was pretty good at doing strategy calls. But, I mean, also having the fact that we have had drivers be taken out of the race and that yellow, I mean, I'm not saying that helped him out, but it could have played a factor into him making a strategy call like that. But, you know, I expected him to be one of the top 3 contenders at the end of this race, and here we are, you know, with 8 laps to go, and he's sitting in third.
We do have a car around in turn 7. Nicholas Ward,
Nicholas Ward, your leader. That car's destroyed as well. He shouldn't lose the lead, I don't think, but watch how much time he's going to lose. He's going to lose a lot of time. We'll try and get the replay up real quick to see what happened to him, and then we'll go back to him live. This is into turn 7. The number 97 having big issues and
involved in the lap 1 incident, so he might have potentially used it. Although I don't think he had critical damage in that incident. So we'll see how long his pit stop takes here. If it only takes like 10 seconds, then we can assume that he's probably in pretty good shape. Regardless, don't think there's suspension damage on the 97. Should be able to pop a Delara front wing on there, and he should be good to go.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. You know, he was having a really good night tonight. You know, was just putting on a clinic, and then just something little like that, got on the curves a little too much, got on the gas. He had a very quick stop there, got a new wing on that car, and he is back out. Looks like he's still got probably a third.
He's
around
out of the pit.
Oh no.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, he almost caught somebody else. I'm not even sure who that was. That was Buchanan who went by, who almost got caught up in that. And wow, Nicholas Ward suddenly is out of this thing, it looks like, because Bruno Canero has now gone by him for the race lead. Nicholas Ward down to second place. He bails on turn 3. I think he's calling it. He's going to tow from there.
Oh.
That number 97, after such a consistent day, and I hate to say it, but I think I put the commentator's curse on him. We started talking about how consistent he's been all day. One of the few drivers to really not have any major incidents outside of that lap 1 incident up to that point. But here we are in the final quarter of the race, and that number 97, his day is all but done.
He just pulled a Corvette pace car. That's exactly what he did.
Oh. Man, just watching that just makes me sick to my stomach, because I haven't had that happen in an IndyCar, but I've had that happen in just other races in general. You know, you wreck from the lead, but your lead's so far, and then you get back out, and then you just lose it on a pit road and just throw it away. You know, Bruno's fortunate that he was able to get by that, but also very fortunate that Nick did not collect anybody in that to bring out a full course yellow. So that just allows Bruno to just run away with it. Now, unfortunately, you know, hopefully we don't throw the commentator's curse on him, as he's got about an 18-second lead on Spencer Madden. But just very, very unfortunate for Nicholas Ward, because he was just putting on a clinic tonight.
Yeah, suddenly you mentioned him, Spencer Madden into second place. I don't think anybody really expected this. He set a pretty decent qualifying time, started 5th, but fell to the back end of the field pretty quickly after that first yellow, and has since kept the race car clean, done a great job of it as well. I don't think I've seen him make a mistake yet. Now, I'm going to knock on wood real quick. Let me knock on wood for him, because I don't want him to wreck here. The driver out of Ohio could still bin it. I'll knock him once some more. I got you, Spencer. But he's done a great job of just keeping the car clean. A little bit slower in the first early goings of this run. But since then, he's turned up the wick a bit, and he's gone pretty decently quickly and has put himself into a really good spot to take home at least a podium. Now a second place, so the silver medal could go to this number 6 car right here. And Matt Chubb is suddenly back onto the podium as well. The number 42 looking at a third place finish.
So Matt Chubb comes in tonight with an absolutely massive points advantage. He came in tonight with 70 points to his name, whereas Madden entered tonight 4th place in points, 32 points total, which is about, 38 points back for the number 6 machine. So he's not going to make a whole lot of leeway if this is how they finish tonight on the leader, but he has the opportunity to come out here 2nd place in points to overtake Rambler and Ward, series staples. Madden, of course, I mean, he's right up there with those guys.
Yeah, it all plans out to, just what I was, I've said this in previous broadcasts, and I think I may have said it even in this broadcast, just consistency is key. You don't have to win races. I mean, although it helps it with points, but, as long as you're consistent and you stay that way throughout the race and previous races and just points play out to where you finish. And if you're not consistent, you won't finish.
Yeah, consistency is king, and there is a little bit of a line that comes up when you're loading into an iRacing session or waiting for it to prepare your session to load into. If every once in a while it'll pop up, give you a little bit of a tidbit, and that is to finish first, you must first finish. And that's extremely important tonight, especially at any road course, but definitely a road course like this, Detroit Belle Isle. It's one of those places that demands all kind of attrition out of you, and it plays right hand in hand actually with Indianapolis a week and a half ago. 500 miles. You guys were in the race. You know how important attrition was in that 500-mile event, the Indianapolis 500 for the IORL, and just 2 rounds of utter attrition. And Spencer Madden came home decently, almost had a chance at a strategy win Indianapolis, but now looking at a 4th place finish, still, I think, a great show of attrition 2 weeks in a row now.
Yeah, the Dallara IR18, it seems very welcoming when you first step into the car because you're granted with quite a bit of horsepower, but to complement it, you have quite a bit of downforce. But you really have to respect the amount of horsepower and downforce that you're given, whether it be a Honda or Chevrolet engine with that Dallara chassis.
Yeah, for sure. You can get very carried away in these cars. As we've seen, even in the Indy 500, just you got a lot of speed and a lot of downforce, but it doesn't take much for these cars to just completely it doesn't take much to tear them up. As we've seen, you hit the curb wrong, or you make a tiny, minute movement in your steering or your throttle, your brake, it loops it around, and these cars are very fragile, and it's probably one of the harder cars on the sim or even just in the racing world in general to even drive.
Absolutely. The IndyCar is definitely something difficult to tame. As Carnero's slow out of 5 down to 6. It looked like he had a hiccup there for a moment. He was going to get clobbered by Krug, but thankfully Krug keeps it off of him. And they continue on without issue. 2.5 laps to go for your race leader now, Bruno Carnero, who we didn't think was really even going to be in the picture, at least at the start of the race, for winning this thing. Then was suddenly behind Nicholas Ward after a couple of full course yellows, and looking like, all right, well, Nicholas Ward is simply faster, but Bruno Carnero still looking pretty good. He's 2nd place and stayed there for probably 35 laps or so, somewhere in that neighborhood. And since Nicholas Ward's exit, has just walked away now with your race lead and looking to be a race win here shortly. 2 laps to go this time by the stripe, and Carnero is off and away to the possibility of a really big win here in Detroit.
Yeah, Bruno Carnero entered tonight 23rd place in points, and this is after 3 starts out of 4 in the series, and he only has 1 point to his name. And, he's been earning the reputation, unfortunately, of being a little bit reckless out there, but, he's proven critics wrong tonight, by far. He's kept the car completely clean more than anyone else. I think it's evident that, he started 7th on the grid. He's not the quickest car out here tonight by any means, but he's been the most clean and the most consistent car, beating the best in the series. so
You know,
far.
I gotta agree with that 100%. You know, just from what you said, making a name for himself. You know, as being a part of the Indy 500, you know, we kind of heard a little bit of chatter going on during the race that, you know, making the name for himself being a little reckless. But I also made the point it wasn't about Bruno. I believe it may have been even for Spencer, for whenever he pitted and started further back after that first yellow. But, you know, he started further back in the pack, so he actually missed that first wreck in turn one, so that actually took people out, and then that actually put him up front. And then, you know, as we've been saying, attrition. That has definitely played a factor in this, as he actually takes the white flag here at Detroit. This is an upset victory.
Absolutely. Started seventh, like you said, Shuttlesworth, and as you said, Patton, he missed that first couple of incidents and has suddenly been off and away to be, as you guys alluded to, the best driver, I think, in terms of just consistency, just quality. In this case, it's actually quantity over, well, I shouldn't say that, but just turning the most laps is what's going to do it, obviously, every time. If you complete every lap of the race and nobody else does complete every lap, well, you've obviously won the race at that point. So down the back stretch, out of 6 and down to 7, he has lap car company. Bobby Krug making sure he doesn't feel lonely out there, and I think Krug actually wants to go run an extra lap in case something happens to Buchanan or Chubb. Well, Krug loops it. Loops it in the distance there. But, and he's going to hit the wall again. Bobby Krug not having a great finish to the event. He does actually have Warren Keith 29 seconds back, but as long as he follows Bruno around 13 and 14, he's going to keep that 5th place position. So, Bruno Carnero out of 13, down to 14 for the final time tonight. He's going to exit Detroit Belle Isle as a race winner. Wins the Grand Prix at Detroit, presented by Ashwood Wealth Management. And what a great race win here for Bruno Carnero. Spencer Madden to be the next one across the line. Although, I think fuel-saving mode, he has backed himself right up to Matt Chubb.
You know, we talked a lot about Madden being a little bit off sequence, but, you know, he mastered the strategy today, as that number 20 machine is going to burn it down in turn 3. Madden comes across the line in 2nd, and Chubb is going to be next in the 3rd position.
That was just unbelievable. Bruno was not even on my radar to even think, to even consider. I don't even know what to say about that. I was not expecting that. Spencer Madden, you know, just proving me right here to get a podium finish, so I appreciate that for not making me look stupid. But Matt Chubb, after just heartbreak early on from getting into that incident, ends up getting 3rd. Buchanan, actually, after his little spiel there, ended up 4th and ended up actually being the last car in the lead lap.
Oh, Warren Keith just nailed race winner Bruno Carnero, and having some fun here at Detroit to finish this one off. We'll be right back to you guys here shortly. We're going to step away for a moment, let these guys figure things out. We'll be talking to a couple of them here in a moment. We are playing close to our time limit, so we probably won't take a commercial break. We'll just step away from the mic. We'll be right back to you with post-race coverage from Detroit. Welcome back, race fans, to post-race coverage. You've been watching these guys stage up down the front stretch. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to talk to the top 3 tonight, but we'll be talking to race winner Bruno Carnero and runner-up Spencer Madden. And for that, I'll turn it over first to Trey Shuttlesworth.
Thank you, Andrew. So we're gonna, all right, and now we have Bruno Carnero in the booth. So Bruno, first of all, congratulations on a heck of a win out there today at Belle Isle. This track is absolutely grueling for a driver, especially in a car where you have to be so delicate like this. So yeah, talk to us just about starting in the middle of the pack and being able to just be clean and survive.
First of all, just want to make sure you guys can hear me okay.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, I forgot what my push to talk button was, but that was really intense. My qualifying lap was my second lap around this track in the IndyCar, so I was not really expecting much. I just wanted to keep clean, and yeah, it was pretty intense starting in the mid pack. We avoided some incidents and obviously avoiding the big pile up on lap 1 with the car flipping and everything. That was pretty intense. And then just keeping clean. I had a couple spins, but got really lucky that I didn't end up in the wall. Car just ended up pointing in the right way. So it was pretty fun, and just battling through the mid pack was exciting. Feel really bad for Nicholas. I looked like I was close to a second a lap quicker. I don't know if he didn't get tired or something, but I was just catching really quick, and I thought it was going to be a nice battle to the end, but unfortunately he made a little mistake coming out of the pits. So yeah, it was good. We stayed clean, and that's what mattered. So.
Yep, it was unfortunate to see for the 97, but you were able to capitalize. Do you feel the street circuit was playing into your advantages, or were you disadvantaged and just looking to go out there and do the best you could?
Honestly, I feel I'm more comfortable with road courses. The walls are really intimidating, as is for anyone. But I just made sure, the IndyCar is usually first gear out of most corners. I was keeping second in some just to avoid wheel spin. So I just I was playing very easy going and stuff and kind of driving 8/10, 9/10 until I was trying to catch Nick again. So other than that, it just worked to our advantage just by staying clean, honestly. Yeah.
All right, congratulations on your season win here in the first win of the season here. Any sponsors, anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, thank you so much. For sure, Rodizio Grill, Brazilian Steakhouse. They're all nationwide as well and starting to open up again after the pandemic, or while the pandemic and everything. But my sponsors since the beginning, obviously family, friends, Ricardo, Ayrton, Austin, everyone, all my friends and stuff. So it was a great win. I'm really excited for the result, and first win here in IORL is awesome. So.
All right, thank you for your time, Bruno. Bruno Carnero, your race winner here at Belle Isle Circuit.
Hey Spencer, this is Trey Patton up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah.
All right, so you were actually one of my picks for the race today because I knew that you were you were one of my podium picks because I knew that just from what I've seen of you previously and from racing you in the Indy 500 that I figured you'd be able to pull a strategy call out, especially from missing that first lap incident, and then you ended up with the strategy call and everything played out. You actually ended up finishing second. So just talk me through the race and how that worked out for you.
I did not miss the first lap incident. I was the one upside down.
Oh yeah, that's right. I looked at the incident wrong.
My strategy after that was to just don't die, bro, and it worked out all right.
Yeah, I was looking at the replay there, and I was looking at the wrong car to realize that was you upside down. But I figured, now that I'm remembering, that I figured that you were gonna lay low and then wait for strategy to play out, and then obviously strategy came into play, and then Scott falling out, then obviously Nick wrecking and everything ended up to where you were able to get a podium finish. So I'm actually glad I made you one of my picks for that, so it didn't make me look as dumb. So we're actually kind of short on time here, so is there anybody you want to thank or say hey to while we're on broadcast?
I gotta thank my crew members for putting up with me wrecking the car 17 times in practice. Yeah.
All right, well, congratulations on a P2 finish. So hopefully we will see you back in the booth in future races, man.
Yep.
All right, that is P2.
I've just realized I muted myself through all of that because I'm sometimes... Oof. Apologies there, ladies and gentlemen. But as we bring it back, we're going to keep things condensed here. Bruno Carnero rolling off and finishing first place with the win. Spencer Madden second place. And it's Matt Chubb, Zach Buchanan, Bobby Krug, Warren Keith, Ernie Ludwig, Nicholas Ward after that amazing run, and then just unfortunately spinning out twice in about a lap's time. Trevor Eggemeyer comes home 9th, and it's Joey Newsel in 10th. A little further back, the rest of your field going to quickly get wrapped up with Scottless Rambler, who looked so fast in practice and qualifying, then Blake Erickson, Dai Staubitz, Alan Elwood, Chris Walker, and Cole Freilich. Those last 4 drivers never taking the green flag. Hate to be so short with things here, but we are going to have to wrap that up, and that will conclude our coverage tonight of the IORL Grand Prix from Detroit, presented by Ashwood Wealth Management at Belle Isle. We at PitStop TV thank you for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Join us here in just about 3 minutes, actually, for the Sodak iRacing Sprint Cars Series as they fire up the 305 Sprint Cars at Volusia Speedway Park. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/PitStopTV, on Twitter at PitStopTV_, on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/Pit_Stop_TV, and on YouTube by searching PitStop TV. This has been Trey Shuttlesworth and Trey Patton, the couple of Treys with me tonight making a trio. I'm sorry, Zach, I had to steal that one. I'm Major Cardinale IV for PitStop TV, and we will see you next time. And again, make sure to tune right back in. We're going to turn it over to those guys at Volusia here momentarily.